Welcome to my monthly budget and portfolio update for January 2026. This has been the first time ever that I have created a budget for myself, tracked every single transaction, and actually stuck with this for an entire month. And I think it's a very important exercise, especially since my goal is to save money and invest for retirement. So it's very important to know where the money goes. And I was very happy with the results so far this first month that I have done this. Now, let's jump right into my January 2026 budget overview. Overall, I spent 25% of my paycheck on bills. So these are the fixed bills I have each month. And then 13% on expenses. So those are the variable expenses that I have. And the rest of it is money that essentially I saved. 18% of it is going to go towards future taxes since taxes are not deducted from my paycheck. And the rest of it is savings. And that was 44% this month. Now, this is quite a lot more than what I expected. Usually, what I have is a direct deposit that goes from my checkings to my savings account once per month for 1,500. And so I was very happy to see that actually what I have left over at the end of the month for January is a little bit over 3,500. So here's what I was thinking. I was actually thinking that perhaps moving forward, in subsequent months, what I can do is I can look at the overall savings I had the month before and base my investments for the following month based on that. Of course, I have a set sum that I want to invest each month, but I also figured if I manage to save a little bit more, perhaps that should also go straight into investments. So let me know what you think about this idea. Okay, so if we look at the breakdown of the bills, basically 64% of what I spent in my bills category goes towards my rent. I do live in a high cost of living area. However, I'm lucky that my rent is fairly low and has stayed that way for the entire duration of me living in this place, which is why I really have no incentive to move anywhere new at the time being. And my next category here is health insurance. This accounts for 26% of my bills. Parking is 7%, subscriptions is 2%, and my phone bill is just 1% of those expenses. Next, we have the breakdown of the variable expenses. So 32% of the money spent in this category went to dining out. And for me, I decided, at least for last month, to include in this dining out category both going out to restaurants with friends, but also if I buy lunch at work, this also goes into this category. And if I go out for coffee, that also goes in there. Even if I buy my lunch at the grocery store, I still added it to the dining out category. Let me know what you think, and if you think there's a better way for me to divide these expenses. I'm really open to suggestions and to optimizing my budget. I had some medical expenses this month. It was 28% of the total spendings in this category. I spent a little bit of money on myself. To be honest, I kind of felt guilty about it, even though it's something that I budgeted for. I did it on the last day of January, so I was a little hesitant, but you know what? It was in the budget. It's okay. And other expenses were 9%. And finally, entertainment category 2%. I didn't really go out so much, or rather, things that I did for entertainment, I had already bought the tickets in advance. And this was basically what I spent this month. And I think I forgot to mention groceries and household. This was just 15% of the total month spent in the variable expenses category. Now, the caveat here is that I came back from winter break about a week and a half into the month. So, of course, that was money spent since I was home with my family and they very graciously fed me during that time. I do expect those expenses to be higher in the month of February. Okay, so next let's take a look at how my investments did in the month of January. And if you tuned in to my previous video, you probably may have noticed that already in the first half of January, so the first 2 weeks, my portfolio had gained $8,000. And by the end of the month, my portfolio was up by $9,300. And the investments that I made this month were $2,500. Initially, I was planning to do a little bit more than that, and then the stock market was doing really great right on the day when I decided to make my contribution. And I know I probably should not have done that. I decided to just stick to 2,500 and not invest anymore in January. Now, what I find really interesting this month is that my portfolio grew by 4.03%. The S&P 500 was not doing so well this month. It only grew 1.45%. It was a little bit of a difficult month. If you follow the news, you will know that there were some geopolitical things going on which basically influenced how the market was behaving for a few days there. So I also thought it would be interesting to take a look at my individual ETFs and how they performed this month, starting with SCHA, which is the US Small Cap ETF. It grew by 4.87% in January. I have 1,196 shares of it for a total value of about $36,000. Next, we have SCHB. This one increased by only 1.06%. This is not so surprising. This is the broad US market ETF, which also mimics the S&P 500. So it makes sense that it did not go up so much. I do have 2,781 shares of it for a total current value of around $74,000. Then I have SCHD, which is my dividend ETF. It really exploded this month. It was up 8.44%. I have 1,521 shares of it for a total value of a little bit over $45,000. After that, I have SCHE, which is a new ETF that I recently started buying. It represents the developing market. It grew by 4.94% this month. I only have 81 shares for a total value of about $2,800, followed by SCHF, which is the ETF that represents the international market. This one also grew by 4.66%. I have 1,735 shares of it for a total value of a little bit over $44,000. And last but not least, we have SCHZ, which is the US bond market. It made a small increase this month, 0.34%. I have 1,240 shares of it for a total value of a little bit over $29,000. And what I didn't share with you is the few stocks that I also hold, but including them, the total value of my portfolio as of right now is a little bit over $242,000, which is almost halfway to my initial goal of having $500,000 in my brokerage account. So that is it. This is how things changed for me in January 2026. I hope that you will tune in next month for the February update. Thank you, and I hope that you're having a great day wherever you are.